Hello everyone! Happy Saturday! Hope you're doing okay and hope you've enjoyed all of the fantastic interviews so far. I can't believe it's been like 3 months. Crazy. Thank you so much for your support. So up next, I'm very excited to introduce you to the lovely lady who created everyone's favourite Christmas films. There's not been one, there's been several, and they're all as fantastic as each other. Please welcome writer of Nativity, the lovely Debbie Isitt.
Amazing. So my first question for you is, growing up, what were your dreams and aspirations? What did you want to do? What did you want to become?
I think when I was very young, I always wanted to work with animals. I just love animals, and I kind of wanted to work with the orangutans particularly. I used to draw them, and I used to sort of adopt, how you can adopt animals and stuff. And yeah, I was a bit obsessed about that. But then quite quickly, I think I decided I wanted to work in the arts.
Yeah.
I suppose like lots of young girls, I was sent to dancing school, when I was young, and I think being part of that was a big influence on wanting to join the arts in some capacity. So, we were a little troupe. It was me, my cousins, my sisters. We were I think we were called Unique.
I love it.
And we were so unique. And we didn't do like competitions particularly. We sort of just did little shows.
Yeah.
Around Birmingham mostly, and occasionally we'd go up north, which was really exciting, But I think doing that, from the age of probably 6 to 16, I did that, So it's a bit of a full-time commitment, isn't it, if you're in a dance troupe?
Yeah.
But then I think, there was never really anything else for me. I was always going to be performing or doing something in the arts.
Yeah. So did you start with performing and then moving to writing and directing then?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I trained to be an actor first, and I was an actor for many years. But I whilst I was an actor, I realised there probably weren't enough parts that I wanted to play or would have the opportunity to play. So I thought about writing, myself a decent part, and that's what inspired me to become a writer. And then I thought, well, I might as well direct it as well, and so I started a theatre company quite soon after. I performed as an actor for about 2 years with an experimental theatre company in Cambridge, and we went all over Europe. We did A Midsummer Night's Dream for 18 months all over Europe. It was brilliant. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to start my own theatre company, which I did then for about 10-12 years. All over the world we went, and I wrote and I directed and I acted in all of the shows. We were called the Snarling Beasties.
I love it. That is awesome. It sounds so like fantasy, and was that the aim, for it to be, quite imaginative? And
yeah, I think we wanted to make theatre that was really visual. So it wasn't so much dependent on the spoken word, although obviously I was writing the stories. And we did a lot of improvisation, which is where my love of improvisation came from. And we were a little troupe, and we toured, as I say, Australia, America, South America, all over Europe, just for years with my plays. And when we were in the UK touring, we had a van, and I had a black Great Dane called Beastie. So the Snarling Beasties and Beastie, the dog, all went touring around. And we did Edinburgh Fringe every year, and we did London every season, from my warehouse or Royal Court upstairs. Quite small scale, but really exciting new work. It was great, actually. It was brilliant.
And how did you find that? How did you find directing and acting at the same time? How did you find that?
Do you know, so easy. I used to tell myself how good I was. I used to say, Debbie, you're doing so well. I love your subtext. You're really bringing that out. I think the other actors sometimes got slightly annoyed because I would continue directing them whilst on stage, which is obviously completely wrong. You're meant to be in the moment, aren't you? As an actor. But yeah. I was in the moment and out the moment, because if they did anything I didn't like, or I didn't think they were concentrating, I'd pinch them, or I'd sort of push them, and they knew that I was telling them something.
That's amazing.
Hilarious.
And what was the road like to be where you are now? So you say you started doing that, and then how did that lead you to what you've accomplished now?
Well, I think probably after about 15 years of touring, you do feel like you're a circus animal, you know, and part of you just kind of goes, I can't keep doing this my whole life. Like, I want to have a home, you know, a base, and I want to probably have a family, and I want a career that's less crazy. I mean, it was crazy. You know, we were boarding different flights every day. I mean, it was mad. It was a brilliant time, but an exhausting time. And I just knew I needed to make a change. And I think I'd always drawn on film to make my theatre, the lighting, the visual aspects of it. Everyone used to say the theatre was very filmic.
Yeah.
And so I thought, you know, I want to make films. And I never would have imagined it was possible. But I thought, I'm going to start again. I'm going to have a career change. So I did. I just started from scratch with making short film, 10-minute films for no money, you know, and then just learned my craft. I made about 4 short films over the period of about 2 years, you know, and then I got an opportunity to make my first feature, and then another feature, and then I made Nativity, and you know, the rest is, as they say.
And was it difficult? Was it really difficult to kind of, like you say, although it was the life that you loved, but it was busy, was it hard to leave that and then start, like you say, totally from scratch again? Was that really hard?
Do you know what? It wasn't. It was what I needed to do, and I was really excited to do it, and I'd had it. I think I'd had it with touring theatre. I was exhausted by it. And the thing is, Jen, you'll probably know, because I know you work in theatre too, once your show is down, it's gone. You know, and for somebody who didn't see it, they'll never see it. I mean, perhaps more now because we're so much into digital, you know, documentation and filming theatre. But back then, nobody did that. And so I got very frustrated that all my work was gone forever and there was no really good recording of it. And I thought, I want to make films because I want to be able to show people what I'm saying forever.
Yeah.
You know, so it became a sort of vocation, really, a new vocation and a mission to make something that I was proud of, that I could hold on to.
Yeah.
So I was very fueled in this new drive. So no, I waved bye-bye to theatre for quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, like you say, you know, once you've done it to death, it's like, you know, I've had a great time in the moment. It was fantastic, but now I'm done and I want to try something else. And like you say, you knew you could do it. You'd written all these shows, you directed all these shows. Why could you not then turn your hand to TV?
Well, yeah. And I mean, you know, you do get a sort of snobbery in the different industries. You know, film people say, oh, you're from the theatre, you'll never be able to do it. Or television people say, you're from film. You know, it's so ridiculous because at the end of the day, all you're doing is communicating with an audience and telling a story. The medium, you know, you have to learn things about that medium, but it's the storytelling for me that's key. And so, yeah, you know, it was a good move.
Absolutely. What have been your magic moments?
I mean, so many, honestly. I mean, I've been incredibly lucky and incredibly adventurous. You know, I've found myself performing to 3,000 Ecuadorian people at a festival, thinking, how did I get here? This is amazing. Or in an outside castle performing A Midsummer Night's Dream when I was, you know, 19 years old in Strasbourg in France. You know, just the magic of those moments, amazing. But then also when I moved into film, and my first feature film got invited to the Venice Film Festival, and you know, we arrived and the gondola picked us up and it took us to the Lido and this beautiful 5-star hotel, and it was all expenses paid, and we were staying with Meryl Streep, who came and held my little baby, Harvey Keitel, just like brilliant, huge film stars just walking around chatting, you know, and it was like, this is another world as well, you know. So many red carpet events, like proper magic moments. But of course, all of those things are just like the little perks, you know. The rest of it is really hard work, really not glamorous. Making films is so hard. It's like standing in the snow, freezing cold, 12-hour days, just desperate for a cup of tea or a chair. You know, it's horrible, really.
Yeah. Funny, you know what? I've spoken to a lot of actors that have done TV and film. Their perspective of it is so different, because for them, you know, they have the luxury of somebody picking them up and doing their hair. And it's really interesting to have somebody like you from your point of view, because, you know, you don't have that.
You know, they don't even give me, and in fact, the last film, they gave me a trailer for the first time. You know, usually I have to go and visit the actors in the trailer just to get warm. That's me. That's where they put me. I mean, I do get picked up and driven around, but yeah, it's tough and it's not fair.
You're like, how is this happening?
How is this happening that I'm cold and they're all in their cozy little trailers? How? What's going on?
No, what is happening?
Just unfair.
And describe the creative process. So when you're working on something, what happens when you get an idea? How does the seed grow?
I mean, it's just a sort of gathering, like a, you know, moss stone analogy. Like you have a germ of an idea, and I always have to live with that for a while to see if it sticks, you know, because ideas are sort of ever flowing, but it's the ones that you can't shake, you know, and then you wake up in the middle of the night and you add to it, you know, and then the next day you have just a little note on it, and then 3 days later the poster appears in your head, and then, you know, a couple of days later you start thinking about someone who might play that, and then a few days after that you think I'm ready to sort of start it. And it's just a sort of growing organic process. I try not to put much pressure on it, so I let it happen. I sort of feel like, for me, and everyone's very different, but for me, I trust completely that the sort of voices will come to me and guide me, and I try not to make things happen. I try and let them happen.
Yeah.
And the more I trust it, the more it works.
Yeah. And so you say that, like, you know, it is a gradual process. Have you ever been on a time scale where you've had something to do and it's not coming?
Every day. Yes. I mean, it's awful, because you feel so guilty as well, as particularly if you've got to deliver to somebody else, a third party that's obviously contracted you, paid you, the deadline's been set. But I always find it very frustrating, because it's art, not science. You know, how long does it take to write a film? Well, I mean, I can say it's going to take 12 weeks or 16 weeks or 6 months, but do I really know? Of course I don't, and who does? But you have to have parameters, of course you do. So you give it a good go, and usually right near the deadline you're like, but I think most writers probably push those deadlines, but it's just because you want it to be good. I mean, I can't bear letting go of things until I feel like I've done it. I can't do any better. Like, love it or hate it, I've given it my all. So I tend to hold on to it until that moment, whatever the risk.
Yeah. And have you ever had to do more than one project at once?
Yes. I mean, it's always until the one that's actually happening takes over. Otherwise, that's a constant thing, because you have to juggle projects, because there's no such thing as an easy ride. So you have to have lots of ideas, lots of possibilities, because it's the one that actually lands that then becomes the priority. Yeah, always constantly juggling, but that keeps it interesting.
Yeah, sure. And what do you find the challenges are of bringing one of your plays or shows or screenplays to life? What is the biggest challenge for you? Because I guess you've got an ideology of what you want it to look like, and then when it comes to life, how do you find that?
I think it's really different, that between film and theatre, because, you know, in film, the vision really is mine. You know, I mean, I absolutely see it, and I have lots of constant discussions with the set designers and DOPs, and it's, you know, and I oversee everything, you know, every colour of every cushion, you know, everything that's in the frame, you know, we'll shuffle that just left of, because it's about the frame, and the frame is constantly moving, and you just constantly adjusting, and the colour is very important to me, the colour palette, because it's how people feel when they watch colour. For example, with the Nativity films, Christmas is red and it's saturated blues, warm blue, not cold blue, and all of this, you know, and I'm obsessed with this kind of thing. Yeah. And so I try and make the colour palette really technicolor, for that reason, and make sure there's a Christmas tree in every frame, and I make sure there's lots of twinkly lights. And so the aesthetic side of the visuals are really important and part of the storytelling. With a play or a show, you know, well, certainly something with like Nativity, it's one set, you know, and everything has to work within that. You don't get to actually move location like you do with film. So it's trying to suggest those movements, and that's with lighting. And you know, it's more about lighting for me in theatre than it is in film, which is so driven by location for me as well. You know, very important. Yeah, but I think it's collaborative, isn't it? You work with your designers. Again, you know, you try and get on the same page, or you try and get them onto your page, basically. But what I love about working with designers is that they always bring to the table something that you weren't expecting, and something that you go, do you know what, that's so much better than I would have, you know, come up with. So I love that.
Yeah. And what was the difference for you? Because obviously, you know, the film came first, the Nativity film came first. How did you find that then transitioning it once you'd done the film to putting it onto the stage?
Well, I've done 3 films by then of Nativity 1, 2, and 3. And it was always true that the first Nativity film was going to be a musical. Like, everyone said it to me from the first Christmas. You know, it was like, oh, that would work great on stage, because it had a musical in it, inside it, the show within the show, and it's a really classic story. And so I think it was always in my mind to do it. And we tried very hard. I mean, we had a workshop 5 years ago to try and make the show work, and we had lots of interest. But it wasn't until Jamie Wilson Productions picked it up. In fact, they approached me and said, you know, do you want to do this? That it actually became a reality. And it was, you know, I want to say it was straightforward in some ways, but it was hard work, because you have to change it. Like, it's the same but different, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I really wanted to work in my process, continue the improv. So we had lots of workshops, and I wanted the children, like, I never give my children or any actors, they don't have a script when I make my films. And I wanted that to be true for this, which it was in the creation. So the first year, you know, we didn't work with script, like everyone was improvising, and then it became a script. So the second year the script was there, but still we change it, and then the third year we change it. I mean, I'm very lucky to work with brilliant, funny, improvising actors like Simon Litlin, like, you know, Scott Garnham, Daniel Boyes, you know, clever, funny actors. I mean, all of them. Every actor that I cast for the Nativity musicals have to have this skill, and they're all brilliant, funny, clever actors who contribute enormously to the thing that you see. I mean, the story's the same, but the dialogue and the jokes, you know, all of that's all made on its feet, you know.
Amazing. And the thing is, you want people to love it, because everybody loves the films.
Yes.
So is that in the back of your mind? You know it can work, because people are backing it, and also, you know, yourself, you've written this fantastic thing, and it lends itself to the stage. But that pressure of, you know, every kid loves Nativity, but are they going to love the musical?
You can imagine, can't you? It was really quite stressful because of this kind of, the brand, if you like, or, you know, wanting to protect that. The last thing I wanted was people to go, I love the film, but the show was terrible. You know, I mean, luckily, I think it's kind of ended up the other way around, where people go, I think I prefer the show, even though I love the film. You know, it's because live theatre is so special, you know. It's about being very rigorous. Casting is king, both for the adults and the kids. We have wonderful choreographer in Andrew Wright, brilliant musical directors, and musical supervisor George Dyer doing those brilliant arrangements. You know, we have really top class people working on it. So because everybody knows how much I care about this, they give everything to it. So, you know, with the first day of rehearsal, I was like, don't mess with this, guys. This is my life. This is my baby.
Yeah.
You know, you mess with this, we're not going to speak ever again, you know. So everyone's like, oh, okay, you know. But it's like a genuine love for the project that everybody shares, and you can feel it on the stage.
You can. Yeah, when you watch it, I mean, you can feel the love for it. Christmas is such a special time for everybody anyway, and I mean, for kids, it's just magic. So when I took my kids to go and watch it, there was like nearly 30 odd of us. You know, we all came to watch it, and you're watching kids watching kids, and I think that joy is just, it oozes, doesn't it?
It does. It does. It really does. And kids like them, you know, that you know, that they're sort of quite regular kids, or they're all different shapes and sizes. You know, it's like hopefully a really good representation of, you know, most towns. So, you know, a primary school in any town, you know. So I think that's really, really lovely and really important, you know, and you don't get this kind of Jane Eyre kind of, do you know what I mean? It's anarchic, it's free, it's fun, it's funny, but it's also true and really truthful. And I think it's amazing what the kids bring, you know, their little hearts are very pure and true, and they move you as well, don't they?
Oh, massively. Yeah, it is. And I think, like, when you run a company like mine, you know, where they're all kids, when you then go and see something like that with them, because I'd seen it before when it was in London. I was living in London at the time, so I saw it in London, and I was like, oh, you know, the kids were so lovely. But then when you're working with the kids, you know, 3 years on, and you take the children to watch it, and I can see them dancing in their seats and everything, and I was an emotional wreck.
Yeah, it is. It's really, I mean, I get like that. I mean, I watch, you know, loads of the performances when it's out on tour, and it still moves me, you know, both to laughter and tears. And every single performance is different. Every performance, you know, there's a new joke, or there's just a different vibe, and you're always thinking what's going to happen tonight. You know, it's really special for that.
And if you could write a one-person show, who would you get to star in it? What would it be about?
One-person show. Gosh, I don't know. I've never thought about that really. I mean, we used to do lots of two-handers back in the day, but a one-person show, I don't know. You put me on the spot there. Hey?
Would it be comedy?
Yeah, I mean, that's my genre. You know, it's my favourite genre to watch as well, like a dark comedy about something. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it had to be someone already famous. I kind of feel like it might be more interesting to do a one-woman show about the least famous person in the world, you know, that's somebody that's kind of in a low status job, but that's planning something, you know, somebody that transforms themselves throughout the show. I like transformation. I mean, that's a big theme for me. So someone who starts one place and ends up another, emotionally, you know, perhaps financially, physically, whatever. I think that's the journey of the human, the human trajectory is essential. Yeah, for me.
And would it have music in it? Do you like stuff with music?
Yeah. And I mean, you know, I write the songs with Nikki, my partner, like for all of the Nativity films, for the Nativity stage show. And I'm doing a new musical movie, actually. We were meant to be filming this summer, so we've obviously stalled that, but we'll come back and do it hopefully next spring, actually. But that's a musical movie for teenagers. So I love music. I love music in theatre and film, and whether it's our original music or whether it's, you know, soundtrack, established music, for me the two are synonymous. I mean, I have watched films with no music and still managed to enjoy them, but it's not the same. It's like going to the fair and having no music. You know, it's the ride, you know, and it kind of, the landscape, you know, it's emotive. And I don't know, I just think the two things, you know, pictures and music, you know, words to me are third. Pictures and music.
Well, you know, you've seen these things, haven't you? You take something like Titanic, for an example. You know, you see the visionary of them all on this boat and everything, you know, and it's sailing onto the sea. You take the music out of it and you're like, what am I watching? I'm just watching some guy and a girl on a boat, you know. But
exactly.
I mean, music in, and it just it swells your heart. Totally. And it makes you think of all these things.
Totally. And you know the story about Jaws, you know, without the it's like, oh, she just getting eaten by a shark. Never mind. There's just like no fear or tension. I mean, the power of music, particularly in film, I think, is absolutely astonishing. And I love it when people do those little edits on social media, where they change the music and the whole meaning of something just completely changes. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, I love it. Same. And what is your go-to meal to cook? Do you like cooking?
I'm afraid to tell you that I don't cook. I can't cook. I've never been able to cook. I'm a shocking example of domestic bliss. I'm terrible. I don't cook. I'm rubbish. I think if I had to, if I lived on my own, I would get by. I don't think I'd starve. You can see that. But I live with a brilliant cook, a chef, really. He's not trained, but his training, is constant in this house. And he's absolutely brilliant. So, yeah, I'm a brilliant eater. But I know I'm not a good cook. I don't cook. I don't know what to do. I just don't know. But I do like watching cookery shows.
Oh, yeah, me.
Fascinated by other people cooking.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
I don't know if I can cook. I just don't do it. That's the thing when
you won't cook.
Do, like when other people do it for you, why would you go, oh, I'll do that?
Well, I think there is a lot to be said for that. And again, I keep coming back to touring, but that was those were my formative years, and it was just eating out or takeaways, because you don't cook when you're on tour. You just don't have time. So yes, no, just not one of my skills.
And finally, what is next for you after lockdown? You talked a little bit about you were supposed to be doing something this summer. What's next? Are you going to pick that up? And
yeah, for sure, I'm going to pick that up and do that, hopefully, as I say, in the spring, depending on what happens. We're all waiting, aren't we, really, and hoping and praying. Nativity was meant to be happening in Birmingham this year, the Birmingham Rep, which still may happen as we speak today. That still may be possible. If not, we'll postpone it to next year. And yes, we have City of Culture in Coventry, where I live, next year. So I have plans for that, and I have another couple of projects on the go as well. There's quite a lot kind of going on, and actually this lockdown has been very productive for me. I've been doing a lot of development, a lot of writing. In fact, there haven't been enough hours in the day, really, which is kind of strange,
Yeah.
But it's been good, and I've got some brilliant friends who keep me occupied as well. And yeah, it's been all right, actually. I hope everyone else is feeling okay about it.
I think, like, when you're within the creative industry, although, even if you're like an actor, you're a performer, it's really devastating that you can't do your craft where you love to do it, on the stage, to a live audience. However, because of technology and things, we're really lucky that we can live stream things, and
have you seen like Jamie Chapman's lyric reading that's like kept me going. Like, we have such clever, hilarious people, who were willing to give their time and do this stuff. We're so lucky, aren't we? Yeah. This industry of people that just won't let anything stop us, in a way. Everything's an opportunity, and that's a really positive thing.
Yeah, you have to take something positive out of it, because otherwise it just eats you up, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, thank you so much for your time. We've had a fab chat. Thank you.
Lovely to see you.
Yeah.
My love to the kids, and say thanks for coming to see Nativity.
I will do. They absolutely loved it. Honestly, when we went to see Elf the year before, when that toured, and when I said, did you want to go and see another show, because that was our first big show that we went to see, because we were very new, we were only 3 years old. They were like, yeah, let's go and see a show. And when I saw it was coming to Wales Millennium, it's only 2.5 hours away from us, so when I put that message out to parents, you can imagine people biting my hand off.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's great. Oh, well, I'm so glad you brought them, and I'm so glad they enjoyed it.
They had a brilliant time.
Fantastic. Well, good luck with it all as well. Keep going.
Yeah, we'll keep going when we can. I'm quite lucky. I've been able to do vocal lessons,
stuff. Yeah.
Bits and bobs like that. So and this little project has been really nice. It's been lovely to meet people and like keep in touch with people, and just make bonds and friendships and chat with new people. It's been great.
And good for you for doing it. It's really good.
Thanks.
Innovation. Super.
But do you know, that's what I was saying. You can't sit around and do nothing. I'm not the person. I've got to keep planning.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, take care, and
you too.
I'll send you a message when this goes out.
Okay. Thanks, Jen. Nice to see you.
You too. Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Wow. Amazing. When you see these films on the television, I just don't think about all of the amazing hard work that goes into it before it even gets to being worked on by the actors. It's incredible. Thank you so much to Debbie. Lots more fab guests still to come. Make sure you're liking and subscribing. Want to keep that sharing a smile. Take care, everyone. Bye.